Okay, folks, get used to my references to the work of Dr. Gabor Mate because his book, In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts, Close Encounters with Addiction, is for us a wealth of information on many levels. He provides this amazing synthesis of the scientific research that has been done in the field of addiction and how he saw that play out in the lives and deaths of the people he served over the course of many years in an inner city clinic that provided services specifically to addicted people. In the last lesson, I talked about how the fall of man was such a shock to humanity's original innocence that one could argue that every single human is, on some level, traumatized. Dr. Mate, in his work, provides this thought. The question is never why the addiction, but why the pain. Nobody gets addicted or lives with a compulsion for the fun of it. We are all seeking quick comfort for legitimate pain. Of course, like Dr. Felitti says, we can never get enough of something that only almost works. But why would we choose addiction over the pain of the present moment? We eventually learn that addiction is just postponed pain. His study gave Dr. Mate cause to write, "Beyond the addict's immediate release of the moment, drugs have the power to make the painful tolerable and the humdrum worth living for. In some circles, that's called an exchange of emotion. I feel some pain, so I'll trade it for the quick fix of some momentary material pleasure. That leaves in its wake new pain on top of the pain I just tried to exchange." How does this happen? It's not just a spiritual sickness we get from not praying enough. Theology of the body teaches us that we aren't just souls trapped in human-shaped jars. We are embodied souls in souled bodies. Addiction is a process that occurs to the soul in the human body. Now, I could go on a long ramble about the triple brain and the role of the prefrontal cortex in behavior suppression and how harm, especially in early childhood, stunts the prefrontal cortex. But if you're as big a nerd as I am about the neurobiology of addiction, you can do that on your own time. Long story short, Dr. Mate sums up that neurobiology by saying, the brain systems involved in addiction are among the key organizers and motivators of human emotional life and behavior. Hence, addiction's powerful hold on human beings. Addiction may not be a natural state, but the brain regions in which its powers arise are central to our survival. Atheist that he is, Dr. Mate sees that addiction is not natural to us. It's not what we were designed to experience. It's not original innocence. It hijacks the parts of us that are innocent, are natural, and are designed to work to keep us alive. Dr. Mate puts together for us that we feel pain that John Paul II demonstrated we were never designed to feel because we are experiencing relationships that were designed to give us life and instead deliver sin, which is pain and death. No wonder we're reaching for the food. It's never let us down. At first bite, anyway. What I see in Dr. Mate's work is clinical evidence that from the beginning it was not so. This embodied enslavement to substances like food and the neurochemicals that eating evokes. I believe that observing in writing my food intake throughout the day was a step back toward that original innocence, back to who I was as a human being in need of nourishment, and not a human being trying to stem psychic pain with the distraction of the senses. In practicing food observation without judgment, complaint, or criticism about what I was eating, I was able to reframe food less as good and bad, but just as a substance I use for fuel, which is what food was for Adam and Eve in the time of original innocence. Also, between writing out my food story and logging what I ate just as facts rather than judgments, I was freed to see patterns in the big picture. I could see how I felt physically when I ate. I also started to get a clearer picture of how my emotional state affected how, when, and why I ate. I became able, with God's help, to answer Dr. Mate's question, not why the addiction, but why the pain.